What's good, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and we are back with another fight breakdown. All right, this weekend on dazn, we got Ryan Garcia against Javier Fortuna. All right, they're gonna be fighting at 135, and it should start at 8 p.m. Eastern. At least that's what time the card starts. The ring walks is scheduled to be around 11 p.m. Eastern. All right, I should be doing live commentary for this fight. So if you're watching the fight, or if you just want someone to listen, you want to listen to the fight, I should be here this Saturday night. So return to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and get, hit the bell notifications as well, so you'll be alerted whenever I drop new content and everything. All right. Obviously, I'm not home. I took a couple of days to get away from the city. So I'm out in the wilderness right now, in a cabin right now. I wanted to spend a few days, but I did bring my equipment, and just gonna do this breakdown. So anyway, let's talk about this fight. It's a pretty good fight. It's definitely Ryan's best fight, or second best fight to date, in my opinion. But it's against another southpaw, which is good for him, because his best win up to date is against Luke Campbell, who was his southpaw, not his first southpaw, but the first southpaw that he fought in his professional career. That was actually pretty good. All right. I remember doing a breakdown. I actually went back and listened to my breakdowns. Yes, I do go back and listen to my own breakdowns when I'm doing breakdowns for newer fights, because I remember at that time Luke Campbell was the best fighter he faced, but he was also a southpaw, and we never seen Ryan really. We really didn't know, So that fight answered a lot of questions about Ryan Garcia with Luke Campbell, because he was a game opponent. We know Luke has taken his losses and pretty much lost the big ones. He lost to Ivan Mendy, but was able to avenge that loss in a rematch. But he also lost to Jorge Linares in a very close fight. He was dropped in that fight, and he was able to, and then he also lost to Lomachenko. All right, so Ryan Garcia, still undefeated. 22 years old, should be 23 soon. I'm sorry, 23 years old, should be 24 soon, next month. He's orthodox fighter, very tall, 5'10" for the weight, and 71-inch reach. So he's much taller and longer than Javier Fortuna, who's 33. He's going to be turning 33 tomorrow. He's 5'6". He's only 5'6" and a half, 68-inch reach. So Ryan clearly has the height and reach advantage over Javier Fortuna. If you've seen their face-off was just earlier today. You'll see that Javier Fortuna is much, much smaller, all right? It's going to be similar to Ryan's last opponent against Emmanuel Tago, all right? Which was one of the worst fights of the year, because Tago was just kind of in there to survive, not really to fight and try to win against King Rye. All right, so look, this fight is a good fight, like I said. Javier Fortuna is a southpaw, but he's nothing like Luke Campbell. Okay, he's more willing to take risk. When he was a little younger in his career, and we're talking around 2015 or 2018, around that time, a lot more wild. Okay, definitely an ambush fighter. Okay, a guy that can get you hurt, have you hurt, and he's gonna try to finish you off. He's always going for the KO. Got a pretty good KO average on top of that. I think he has around 37 wins, 26 knockouts, 3 losses, 1 draw, somewhere around that. Ryan, 22 wins, 18 knockouts, no losses, undefeated, no draws or anything like that. But Javier Fortuna, what does he bring? He brings some power. He definitely has some power. Can't sleep on him. Explosiveness, pretty decent hand speed. Pretty good as far as technique. He's actually a good technical fighter, even though he's been on a wilder side in his career for the majority of his career. He seemed to have slowed down a little bit. He's taken a different approach, like, the vet approach. And we saw that in the Jojo Diaz. I think there were signs of where he was pretty explosive, and he did try to maul and explode on Diaz, especially after the cut that Diaz got over his eye from a headbutt. Fortuna, he doesn't play around, The thing is with Fortuna, whenever he leveled up, he's always been in close fights or fights that were pretty debatable, like the Robert Easter fight, which was a split decision loss to him. But normally when he's in between the big fights, he's usually fighting guys that he's normally smoking. Like, he usually beats them pretty easily, either like a unanimous decision or you get like a knockout win. All right. But, in his biggest wins, he usually falls short. He lost to Easter Jr. He lost to Jason Sosa in a fight I remember watching, where he was actually winning against Sosa and he was stopped late in the fight. And, recently he's lost to Jojo Diaz. All right, so, the thing is with Fortuna, he's had his ups and downs, has his losses, had his split decision losses. He's been dropped a lot in his career. All right, that's one thing about Fortuna. He's been dropped a good amount of times in his career. He is kind of chinny. He's been hurt throughout his career. He's lost on the scales a couple of times too in his career, right? So with all that being said, not the most responsible fighter, all right, but he is good and he does pack a punch, and he's unlike Luke Campbell. And I think this is the key thing about dangers going into this fight for Ryan Garcia. Unlike Luke Campbell, Javier Fortuna, if he has you hurt or drops you, he's going to try to finish you off. He's going to try to maul you, all right? Luke is more of a safety first type of fighter. He's more of a defensive fighter. Like, even though Luke lost and was stopped by King Ryan in his last fight, he was, pretty good on the defensive end throughout the whole fight. Ryan was more the one that was really pushing forward. Even after he was dropped, Ryan was the guy that was pushing forward, and Luke was the guy that was on the defensive. And we learned a lot in that fight, like I said, because up to that point, Ryan never fought anyone on that level, and he never fought anyone that was that good as a southpaw. You know what I'm saying? Luke, very tall, even a little bit, slight bit taller than Ryan, and knew how to control the distance, maintain that distance. Not an inside fighter. Had a good jab, you know what I'm saying? Good counterpunch and everything like that. So, very responsible fighter. Javier is a complete opposite of that, But, again, we saw it in Jojo Diaz fight, which is one of his recent fights from last year, that he could fight a little bit more responsible. There's a thing with me where, as I was going back and doing, like, some of the breakdowns or trying to do some field study for this fight, I kind of wonder if it's better for Javier Fortuna to be a little bit more on the wild side. I think he's kind of more dangerous because he's more explosive. If he takes a more like technical and responsible approach, I'm not sure if that's better for him in this fight. Because you want to kind of bring the fight to Ryan. And I think Ryan, the toughest fight he's had was against Carlos Morales. And a majority decision win for Ryan, a fight that many believe that Ryan lost. And it was a few years back, and I brought it up in a breakdown I did of Ryan last year when he fought Luke. But I think you want to kind of push the action, make Ryan stay on his toes a little bit, because I noticed that when Ryan, like, when he pushes forward, he's a lot more comfortable. I think when he respects you and he feels some sort of danger there, I think he's a little bit more vulnerable, and as opposed to how he was against Tago or against Luke Campbell. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. We got to wait and see how the fight goes on Saturday. But, Ryan Garcia is doing the study and mainly watching a Luke. I dipped a little bit in the Tago fight, the Emmanuel Tagasi Tago. The Emmanuel Tago fight, not the best fight really to show anything. But the only reason why I watched the fight really mainly is because not only was it the most recent fight, but Tago's very short, and he could move very well, and was on his back foot the majority of the time. When I watched that fight, Ryan's not really good at, cutting off the ring, and it was easy for Tago just to stay out of the way, So if you want to really get away from Ryan, it could be done. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, Javier Fortuna has never been that guy. And only time I've seen Fortuna kind of evade his opponents is when he's hurt, or, when he's like kind of tired, like in the Jason Sosa fight. And that's the thing with Fortuna. He's explosive. he'll maul you, but if he gets burned out, he's kind of like open for anything. Like, once he can't stop you, he's a good finisher normally, but if he can't finish you, that's where he doesn't look that good, because he tries to just ambush you. He outpunches himself, burns himself out, and then, he leaves himself at risk to get knocked out or get hurt. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is with Ryan in this fight, Ryan fighting the southpaw and Luke Campbell. And again, Luke is totally different. Obviously, we saw the knockdown. I watched the knockdown over and over again. It's simple. We see it a lot in boxing. Luke kind of set him up for the punch. All right. Luke, the southpaw fighter, was kind of backing up. And, Ryan will keep his hands low. And there was a point where Ryan, his hands was low. Luke drew a jab to the body, or faked the jab to the body, and then he threw the 1-2, and it looked like he was gonna throw the left hand low, and he winged it up top, and Ryan tried to parry down, and got caught flush right in the face and got dropped. All right, perfect example is when Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley. Same thing happened. I know people said it was fake, and it might be fake. I don't know, but whether it was or not, it was the same thing. Luke faked to the body and winged it up top, just looped it up and caught Ryan flush in the face. And Ryan's hands are usually low, and I expect Javier Fortuna to try to do the same thing. The thing with Luke is that he didn't take advantage of the moment. And you know what? He's a guy that's in there. But as I'm watching it, I can understand both sides. I think a lot of people feel that he should have really put the pressure on Ryan. There's a lot of time left in the round. But the thing is, Ryan didn't seem that hurt. If you go back and watch it, when he got up, he seemed more embarrassed than hurt. I think it was somewhat of a flash. Even though he went down hard, it still feels like it was a flash knockdown, because Ryan got up quickly and his legs seemed to be fine. You know what I'm saying? He didn't seem rocked too much. He was still throwing power punches right after. And he even connected with a left hook to the body, that which is his signature punch. And shortly after he got dropped. All right, so you could say what you want about that, but Luke is not the finisher that Javier Fortuna is. And I think if Javier was to have him hurt in any way, he would try to finish Ryan off, and that's the way he's always been. Another thing is, and it's a big deal because, again, outside of the Luke Campbell fight, there was no other southpaws to compare him to, but foot positioning. All right, Ryan likes to keep his lead foot on the inside. He drew a lot of punches on the he would step in, and when orthodox fighters are fighting southpaws, normally you want to keep that lead foot on the outside. It's better for balance, and it's better at connecting and connecting against your opponent, because their head is normally on a line. You know what I'm saying? And Ryan, what we learned in the Luke Campbell fight, and check out my bro, Boxing Gems. He actually made an entire video talking about this. But yeah, Ryan likes to step in with that lead foot often. And it creates opportunities. Unfortunately, Luke didn't take advantage of the opportunities. But I think in that Javier Fortuna might take advantage of that, depending on what Ryan has worked on since that fight. All right, I don't know if Goosen has taught him any new trips or anything like that, but it's a bad flaw, And listen, it's not like it can't be done, There's a lot of elite fighters that can do this, all right? They can keep their lead foot on the inside because Ryan likes the hook. But when he threw the straight right, at times, he would throw it at a point where he would have to twist his body to connect. because the head is off the line, and it would leave him off balance, right? He's a righty. He's coming in. He's throwing a jab. Now, you might connect with the jab, but when you're throwing a right hand, you're turning. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it leaves yourself open to get caught with a right hook yourself from a southpaw fighter as you're stepping in. Not only that, but if you're on balance, and even if you don't get hit flush, you can get dropped for a punch that might not really hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Plus, you can also get caught with a left hand as you're coming in. You know what I'm saying? Because you're completely unbalanced. You're just like an easier target at that point. You know, now, there are elite fighters that can do it. All right. I've seen Manny Pacquiao do it plenty of times, you know, watching him as a southpaw. He would step in with his lead foot on the inside. But a lot of the elite fighters, not only can they move and still pivot themselves out the way while their foot is on the same. Ryan can't. Ryan is just not that advanced at this point. But a lot of fighters that do it, they would step in and they would lean in after throwing a punch and smother the opponent from countering. So just doing film study, that's definitely something that I've seen from the elite fighters that can do it. Ryan is still not that good yet, but the positive thinking about Ryan is that he's so powerful and so quick, it makes up for the mistakes he made. He's very, very powerful. You know, I said like Javier Fortuna does have punching power, but Ryan is a KO artist, right? And he's big for the weight, and he's very strong and very fast. So with Ryan, you may not have time to capitalize off his mistakes and his flaws, you know, because it's so fast, you know, and he's very aggressive. It's not giving, he's pushing, he's usually coming forward. You know, he's not normally fighting on the back foot. And if he is, he's just trying to set traps. We've seen him in other fights like Duno and some of the other opponents he had fought. Let me just look at his Fonseca. Guys like Fonseca, guys like Duno, guys like Lopez, where he was just waiting for them, like lower tier fighters that he was facing at the time. All he had to do was wait and counter with the left hook. All right. But when he's fighting more advanced fighters, at some point, like if he is to get in the ring with a Haney or what was this other guy, Tank Davis, if they were to actually fight someday, they would expose some of these flaws. But maybe he's worked on them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in this fight against another southpaw. All right. So with all that being said, I think Ryan needs to fight the same fight that he's been fighting. All right, you want to press Javier Fortuna. All right, don't make it a waiting game too much. I think there's times where you might want Javier to lead because you want to counter him. But for the most part, I think Ryan should come forward. Not only that, but Ryan has a great jab. He has a great jab. I just don't think he uses it enough. You know, he likes to lead with power shots. He needs to set up his punches a little bit better, you know. Again, he's only one fight in with Goosen. All right. He left the camp with Canelo and them, so maybe he's gonna learn a little bit more in this fight here. But his style is definitely good for facing southpaws. You know, I know he likes to fight southpaws because he likes to do what he did against Luke. You know, he could like a step in and lead with that left hook. You know what I'm saying? Or shoot the straight right because he got a clearer path. But he should work a little bit more on setting up. He has a very good jab. I just don't think he uses it enough. And in the Tago fight, we didn't see it enough. It was just more of him just chasing him around. So the dude got skills. You know, say what you want about Ryan. And I criticize him too. You guys know I do. I criticize him mainly because of his behavior outside of the ring. Outside of the ring, I don't really like his behavior. You know, the way things he say and all that. But if we're just talking what he does in the ring, I think he's very, very good because of his power and his speed, right? His power and speed is real. It's a real thing, but he needs to make up for the flaws he had. He's a little bit too upright still, I think. His chin is exposed a lot. He stands straight up, right? Doesn't really change levels much, but could go to the body pretty good, though. I do like that. I think he has more to offer to Javier Fortuna. I think Fortuna might be a little bit more versatile because he has power in both hands. Don't think he's just trying to land one. You don't have like a signature punch, in my opinion. You know, but he has solid speed. Don't think he's quicker than Ryan. Obviously, to me, he's at a disadvantage in this fight. All right, but Ryan is still a guy that's still developing. And if he's capable of taking advantage of some of his flaws, then he has a chance. He does have a puncher's chance at least. But me personally, I think this fight is a step down from Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, even though he's not more like the type to take risk, his defense, his timing, you know what I'm saying, his length and height, knowing how to control distance was a little bit more trouble to me. You know, might not be as explosive, but I think he was a more difficult fight. You know, Javier is more dangerous in the sense that if he does have Ryan hurt, he will finish him off. But overall, I think that Luke was a more difficult fight. I think Ryan's going to win, and I think he's going to stop Javier Fortuna. You know, I just don't think Javier Fortuna has enough. He's always been chinny. He's always been chinny. You know, and him getting hit with a clean shot from Ryan will be too much. You know, again, he can definitely take advantage of some flaws. But would he have the time to? You know, I think if the fight was getting drawn out a little bit more, you know, I think if Ryan wasn't as aggressive as he is, I think maybe, you know, guys were kind of feeling each other out for a while, like for the majority of rounds, then yeah, I think Fortuna would have an opportunity there to sneak something in. But Ryan's going to come in. He's going to be marching forward from the opening bell. It's not going to be any different from Luke or Tago or anybody else. He's going to be marching forward. And once you feel his power, it's going to kind of force you to retreat a bit. You know, not saying that Fortuna won't counter, but it's going to be harder to because you don't want to get caught. All right. So anyway, I have Ryan winning this one, and I think it's going to be earlier than Luke. I don't know what round. Let me go to his box rec. Luke was stopped in 7. I'm thinking around 5. I'm thinking around 5 rounds for me. All right, could be sooner, but my guess is around 5. I'm thinking around 5 rounds. Ryan Garcia is going to stop Javier Fortuna. I won't be surprised as much earlier or even a little later, but I'm expecting Ryan Garcia to get a stoppage here. You know, would it be a huge upset if he, you know, I didn't even check the odds on this, but yes, if Javier Fortuna wins, I mean, yeah, it'll be an upset. I think he's capable of knocking out Ryan and exposing him, but I don't think it's going to happen, man. These guys are really, really good at picking Ryan's opponents for him. And I think Ryan's going to get the job done. All right, but, yo, I will be here Saturday to cover the fight. So make sure you tune in. Again, subscribe to the channel if you like the breakdown. Hit the thumbs up. And, you know, I'll see you guys on Saturday, man. I'm out of here. Peace.